The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but we're the ones that do encourage you to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors because it's time to find out some of the things that are going on here on the Treasure Coast. We do this with the Sue Ellen Sanders Show every weekend right here on WPSL. Here's your host, Sue Ellen Sanders.
And welcome to the show. We're so happy you're here, and I love to be the bearer of great news. And in St. Lucie County, we have a lot of really good news that growth and change and people helping other people. And so in April, when I had Canberra Gardner on here talking about Incubate Neighborhood Center, a nonprofit community center. It was just getting started. Canary is the CEO of the center, and it was her concept, and she got the funding put together and got the building. And we're going to talk about everything that Inc. is and what will be on this show and all the programs that Inc. is going to have both at their location and partner with at other locations. So welcome, Canaria.
Thank you so much. I am so elated to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Sue Ellen.
To begin with, we talked about in April, but just in case people don't listen to my show every single week, which is possible because even my husband doesn't, just to get everybody caught up, how did Incubate Neighborhood Center or Inc. come to be?
Well, to be honest, Sue Ellen, I'm a very spiritual person, and God gave this gigantic vision. And when he got done downloading the vision over a 2-week span, it was Incubate Neighborhood Center. And so I really just started working to fulfill the vision. In April, we had our grand opening ribbon ceremony, which was extremely very exciting and also well attended. And Inc. is just an organization that our mission and the reason why we exist is to revitalize distressed communities. And so we do it in several ways through our programs. Our core program is our entrepreneurship program called Commerce, Entrepreneurship, and Operations, also known as the CEO program. It has 4 pillars. The first pillar is training. Second pillar is lending. Third pillar is just technical assistance. That's all the business services that a business would need. And the fourth pillar is actually brick and mortar. What's cool about the CEO program, we had 2 businesses to already scale into brick and mortar from the last cohort. But what's really exciting about is the growth potential. We are getting ready to kick off our CEO 3.0, which is geared towards youth. And so
I saw that on your social media, and that is so exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So just to give, all those young entrepreneurs the opportunity to just really get that business training earlier. So we're starting at age 10. Because
that's early.
Exactly. Because what I found from talking to very successful entrepreneurs, they actually really had their first business when they was preteen.
Yeah.
And they always sold a product. And so, us and the board of directors was just in the advisory board was just thinking, well, how can we be more impactful and definitely prepare the entrepreneurs of tomorrow? So birth CEO 3.0, and it's something that I'm so excited about, just to give these young people the opportunity to not only learn business skills, but how to open and to scale their business and be legitimate while doing it.
And I don't know if you were aware, but 10 years ago, when my son was 19, he opened up his own theater company in Stewart, and then he had some obviously people in St. Lucie County too. And he turned it into a 501c3, and he decided he was going to make smart theater for everybody. So it was creative, intelligent theater, and he put on shows, and he had paid actors, and he had a location out in downtown Stewart that he used. And he had wonderful shows. The beginning of the year, beginning of each season, he would raise funds with sponsorships, and then he'd run out by the end of the year because he was selling. His business model wasn't as planned as you might think if he'd had some training. And you know what it's like at 19. You think you can do anything and you don't have to listen to anybody. And I just, wonder if he had had some sort of training as a teenager, what he could have done with it, because what didn't succeed was the business. The shows were wonderful. The vision was terrific, but it was the lack of the entrepreneurial skills that really, so it lasted for 3 seasons, and it was a great learning experience for him. But now he's back in the field of marketing and finding his way through that. But I know he looks back, and every day as he learns more now at the age of 29, he probably thinks, oh, gee, if I'd only known that. And it's never too early to start training our kids. But it's also never too late too, because you could come up with a great business idea after you've had a successful career.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're about too, of people of all ages with your CEO program.
Absolutely. We right now in our CEO program, we have somebody as young as 12 and as old as I want to say 65 that's in the program currently. And so first I want to say kudos to Jake for being brave enough to start a business at 19 years of age, and to be able to bring his vision to fruition, because that takes a lot of guts and
it does take guts.
a lot of planning. And so what we find is that most often the person that has the talent or have that creative niche is other skill sets that they tend to lack in order to really grow that successful business, because they just don't know all the aspects of business. So definitely this program is beneficial to someone 29 and somebody 19, somebody as young as 10. So he definitely could have benefited from the program. Actually, our guest speaker of our last cohort, Miss Tessa Adams from Fats Chicken Shack, she owns a lot of businesses, and one thing that she came in and sat in some of our classes, and she was like doing her graduation speech, and she really just encouraged the entrepreneurs. But she was saying, if only a class like this was available when I was going and when I started out, I wouldn't have made so many errors, or I wouldn't have, it would have took me quicker to get there instead of taking the 14 years. So
it would have been smoother.
Yes.
And and that's the thing about any great idea. You don't know what doesn't work until you try it.
Absolutely. So I would tell on piggybacking off that, I would tell Jake to do a reboot. He's a different person. And definitely, it's a lot of things that he probably have learned and can really pour into it, because theater is just so amazing, and to just give young people the opportunity to go into that field is dynamic.
It is. And I see him possibly doing that again down the line as we move farther away from the pandemic. But right now he's very happy working as a marketing director for SELF, for the Solar Energy Loan Fund. So, and I'm happy that he has got a steady paycheck, that it isn't anymore where you're just like looking for sponsorships to cover the ticket sales and pay the actors. And then the day that the actor, I remember the guy who starred in Don Quixote, it was a wonderful production, but he was very dramatic, and he kept throwing himself down on the floor, and they had these expensive mics that they were wearing, he kept breaking the mics.
That's hilarious.
So, like every production.
Here's another mic. That's hilarious.
So just little things like that. Those are things that are not expected. Or the time that we had such torrential rain that it was flooded, and his whole weekend of shows, because he was at Flagler Center, and it's kind of the streets were flooded there. Nobody could get in to see the shows.
Oh wow.
So, I
That's
mean, but
horrible.
those are the sort of things that somebody who has had more experience with life or has a network of other entrepreneurs who have dealt with those sort of things. And that's the other thing that you're offering, because you talk about cohort and did I say that right? Cohort?
Cohort.
Cohort.
Mhm.
Cohort. So they're going through their entrepreneurship classes with other people, and so they have other people that they could use for feedback.
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole purpose. What I really liked about it is it's like they are a little family. They check in on each other. We have a couple of them that's actually starting to go to trade shows together. And some of them didn't know PowerPoint that well. And so one hosted a PowerPoint class at the center. So, her other individuals that's in the cohort can learn from her. I mean, and I think networking, it has been a lot of networking opportunities, and say, okay, I do this in my business, but you do this, so I'd rather use you if you give me this discount. And so it's just really taking on a life of its own. And I guess that's the part I didn't expect, is when you're going through this 12-week cycle together, and you get close. If somebody is not there one time, people, I'm gonna call and check on her, see what's going on, and they become like a little family. And they still are in touch with each other right now, and they come in to see us. But right now with that class, our focus is getting them lending and getting them into brick and mortars.
Okay. So to clarify, your initial COO class and your basic COO class is for adult entrepreneurs. The new one that you're doing this CEO
3.0.
3.0. And that is the youth program, but you still have ongoing CEO classes for adults too as well.
Correct. Right now, this current cohort that's starting on next week, we actually have, I want to say, 2 youth businesses in the class. And because of their age, their parent is attending the class with them. By going through that experience, that's what I was prompted, let's separate them. Because the conversation and understanding from a 10-year-old, 15-year-old about life and business is completely different than somebody's 45, 35 who has already worked professional jobs. It's just different dynamics of the conversation. And so we wanted to give more support to the young entrepreneurs. So we kind of did like a spinoff. So our spinoff is the 3.0, which is geared towards youth only. So if you're above the age of 17, you're not going to be able to share that cohort and that experience with them. You'll have to come to the other cohort for just CEO, which is 18 and above. And so that class, typically it ranges between a 19-year-old and up to a senior citizen. But just this time, we're going to have 2 youth entrepreneurs, and I'm really excited about it. One make products, and she make products from soaps to lotions, and she also have a lemonade stand. And so I'm like, wow, this little individual has tenacity.
And she's figuring it out at an early age. How often do you have the adult program starting? Are you in the process of one starting now? When does the next group start?
August the 25th.
So yes, it's
August
right
the 25th is right around the corner. For the first 2 weeks of this month, we actually brought a new business product to life, which was Biz Boot Camp, which is also sponsored and partnered with SCORE. And what we're doing with the boot camp is because the CEO program is intensive. I mean, the organization that created it's a national business model. It was created 30 years ago, proven to be effective, but it's intensive. And so we wanted to provide support and also give preference to the entrepreneurs that go through the Biz Boot Camp. So the Biz Boot Camp pretty much breaks some of the terminology down for entrepreneurs who have never heard that terminology before, and kind of give them a stronger base going into the CEO program, because they're going to need that, because around week 7, they have to start preparing for their Shark Tank, which we call Land a Whale. And we do have investors who are 7-figure investors that's willing to put up their own money into a business
So
that
it is
compelled them.
like Shark Tank.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
your own Shark.
Absolutely. And to find out more about it, is right up on our advisory link on our website. But we're building all of these components, but we want the entrepreneurs to be successful. So
Mhm.
the last cohort, some of the entrepreneurs, they really struggle in certain weeks, which kind of delayed the Shark Tank for them. And we wanted this group of entrepreneurs to be stronger coming in.
Mhm.
So to do that, we had to partner with entities like SCORE to provide that 2-week training prior to the class.
So if you compare the boot camp to like an exercise boot camp, it's a short, committed period of time where you're getting up to speed.
Yes.
And then once the entrepreneur class begins, then you're covering a lot more subjects and more in-depth subjects because you're already working with people who have that basic knowledge.
Correct. So, yes, absolutely. So, because what happens if they don't come in with that basic knowledge, you might have only 20 minutes allowed to talk about the specific subject,
Mhm.
but 20 minutes end up being 40 minutes. So every class, you're kind of like have to rush through material because you slowed down the class before, and that's kind of not fair to. It's not fair to everybody that's in the class. So if everybody came in with the same basic knowledge and understanding of entrepreneurship and some of these subjects, then they will
Mhm.
adjust better in the class.
And it'll be a level field of learning. Kind of like, why would you try to teach algebra to somebody who didn't know their multiplication tables yet?
Absolutely.
So, of course, at a wholly different level.
Absolutely.
So that is just part of what you do, though, as Inc. You also have, outreach programs, and you have the community center where you're partnering with other organizations. And as a matter of fact, I want to talk briefly about the business expo that's going on this weekend on Saturday.
Absolutely. It's another partnership with a local business called All About Building Businesses. And this is her 6th annual business expo. And this year is a little bit different because we are partnering with her business expo. And so it's a dynamic expo. I really encourage anyone who has time to be there Saturday at the Fin Center, approximately 10 a.m. Because it's going to be dynamic. We're going to have classes. So that can be an entrepreneur that come in and learn from other entrepreneurs that are doing the work. I'm actually facilitating 2 of the lessons under the Inc. umbrella. Also, it's a great place to network with other entrepreneurs and to get the resources that you need to really propel your business forward. Also, if you just want to come there and shop with some of these dynamic businesses that's going to have these great products, we definitely encourage you to do so because malls are fading out. A lot of people are doing more online shopping, which is a good thing because you can push a button, it's at your doorstep. But the bad thing about online shopping is that it's a product, sometimes you might not like it, or it might be
you don't
different.
get to touch it and feel it and see it and try it on for size.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we're going to have a lot of vendors there that have great products for great prices. And so if you just want to come and just shop with some of the vendors, or you might be planning an event in 6 months, but you don't have an event coordinator yet, or you don't have somebody to decorate the event. I mean, individuals like that is going to be there on this Saturday. So you can look at their display and see how neat their product is, talk to them about pricing, or it's going to be Breeze Cake and Baking Supplies. She's one of our entrepreneurs that came to the last cohort, but scaled already to brick and mortar. I mean, her desserts are just really one of a kind, and some things that I have never tasted before. So she's going to have her world famous ooey bars there. So I encourage
Ooey bars.
ooey bars, and they are really
just
ooey.
The name of that sounds awesome.
Absolutely. It's like if you think about a cake and a cheesecake having a baby, that's the ooey bar.
Okay.
And at first, it was a lot of hype. I'm like, oh, you gotta taste it, I probably went the almost 2 months and never tasted it
Yeah.
until one day I got one, and I remember my first bite I took, and I started laughing because I can only imagine the car beside me looking at me as this explosion of flavor.
As your eyes are rolling back.
Yes, it was one of those moments. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is dynamic.
Yeah.
And so, how sometimes you have to kick yourself. I just had to just laugh it off, like, wow, because a lot of people say their food is good, but when you taste it, not so much. And I'm a foodie, so I really like, I like to really just taste the food, and it wasn't what I expected. It was way better than I expected. So, but yeah, so it's going to be a lot of vendors there from all different categories, from lawyers to bankers to people who write books, children books, to people who make products, to SCORE is going to be there. So it's going to be a lot of entities there that can not only help entrepreneurs, but also just help someone who's not an entrepreneur but might have things that they're doing in their life coming up that they can help them plan for.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, is it only applicable to entrepreneurs? But no, it's for anybody who wants to get information about a business and moving forward in that business. Or it could be an office manager or somebody who is collecting information. So it starts at 10, and what time does it run?
From 10 to 2.
10 to 2.
From 10 to 2.
And it's at Fenn Center.
It's at the Fenn Center off of Virginia.
Is there a charge to get in?
It's free. It's free to attend. It's free for all the classes. The only thing that there's a charge for if you buy a product from someone on that day, but it's absolutely free to attend. But the one thing that's good about it, because sometimes, especially in the world that we live in, when I want to do business with somebody or I want to hire somebody from something, I always look at reviews. But this is an opportunity that you can, not only talk to them. I think that's important because we got away from just talking and having that customer service experience with businesses. Because most often when I call someone, I'm getting their answering machine, or I'm getting a voice recording that I can't understand because it's not from the United States. So just to have that business owner there, and that you can talk to them if you have any questions that they can ask, because it's going to be a range of business. It's going to be all different types of industries in the business. I'm trying to get the exact industries now because I do have it, but it's going to be a wide range of businesses. And I'm just so excited to not only partner with Ms. Brazil on this project, but year after year to just be engaged with it, and just see how it has grown and how it has really manifested. I'm just really, really, really excited for her.
Well,
but
how
also
can
for the
people
community.
find out more about it online? Can they go to your website or is there a Facebook page for it?
Yes, it's a Facebook page. It's Minority Expo.
Okay.
But the industries and some of the vendors is going to be from health and wellness, beauty, sweets and treats, boat rentals and tours, decorators, housewares. If you need your credit repaired, I mean, they're going to have those entities out there. Entrepreneurship, interior design, home improvement, even a company that's selling solar panels, financial literacy, lawyers, bankers, people who support entrepreneurs. It's going to be just a wide range. So I definitely would just say, hey, come out, see if anything interests you. And it's going to be so many different lessons and classes there. But we do have some information about it on our website, which is www.incbiz.org, and also our Facebook page. We're constantly, and it's going to be well over 40, 50 vendors there. So you definitely want to be a part.
The other thing I was thinking of when you were talking about some of the vendors and some of the different categories is a lot of those categories, if you look them up online or you get an email, sometimes it's a scam. And it's nice to know, especially like the fixing the credit scores or the solar panels or anything like that, that this is somebody that you met in person, you talk to, and you know where to find them. And they're not going to take advantage of you or start spamming you with bunches of emails
Absolutely,
or, you know.
absolutely. And I think that's important. And I attended last year, and I remember going around to all the vendors, but it was one, she wrote children's books, and I talked to her. But what was cool about it is my daughter, I have a 4-year-old, and she loves to read, and she loved for us to read to her. But she took the time, she autographed the book, she put it in my daughter's name and wrote her a very positive message. And so just the other day, I picked the book up and I opened it and I seen the message there. So, just to get that personalized touch, I think went a long way. And so when I showed the books, I bought 2 of them to my daughter. She was just so excited about the books, but even more excited that the author,
Had her
autographed
name,
them
yeah.
and signed them to her.
And you know what? When you're 4 years old and you read a book, you might not really think that there's a real person who wrote that book, that there are a person like you and me that wrote that book.
Mhm.
And to have your name on it and be part of it, it's something really special.
Very special.
So
Very special.
that's awesome. So in addition to the Minority Business Expo that's going on this weekend, you have other special events that are coming up quite frequently. But tell us what happens on Wednesdays at the community center, which, by the way, if you're an old timer or in St. Lucie County, you know it as the old Means Court location that the school TV station used to be at. And now the building belongs to the city and they have leased it at a very reasonable rate to you. And so you're turning it into this community center, and it's centrally located in Northwest Fort Pierce where people can walk to it or bike
Mhm.
to it
Absolutely.
or take a bus or drive. You get that big parking lot, but every Wednesday you've got something special going on there already.
Absolutely. Every Wednesday is Resource Wednesday. And so we have Treasure Coast Food Bank comes out. They bring their mobile market, which is like a grocery store on wheels. And they have dollar days where most of the food items is either 2 for $1 or under $1.
Mhm.
So that's giving a community that's a food desert the opportunity to buy fresh produce for $1 or under, which is
Mhm.
really good. So they come out. Also, we have a medical provider that comes out as well. Florida Community Health Center, they come out on Wednesdays to provide testing, also vaccinations, pregnancy tests. And then we're in the process of partnering with another entity, the St. Lucie County Health Department, to be able to provide additional services as well on Wednesday, because we want the community to benefit for these resources every single Wednesday. So every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., these services are provided right on site. But we're doing a lot of great things with a lot of great organizations and a lot of great partnerships. And another program that's our core program is our home ownership program. Just this year, we had over 85 people to go through the home ownership program. So to see, I think the youngest person was around 23, 24. And so to see a 24-year-old get so excited because they just got a pre-approved for a $300,000 house, it's very rewarding to say the least. And in some of the classes is multi-generation, where you'll have the mother and the child, or a aunt and a niece, or a father and a son, and them going through that journey together. I mean, it's extreme. It took me back a little bit. Because I thought it was going to look like something else. So while we're implementing the program, and it looks very uniquely different than what I thought it would, because one thing I realized, the average person that goes through the program, they've been on their job at least 8 years. The average age is about 50. So to have someone who has money, who has stable employment, but never thought about home ownership, or was completely terrified about the process, it encourages me even more that we need to start younger, because that's the best way to build wealth from in your own family dynamics, is home ownership. So
Even if you go through a program like that and you don't end up buying for another 3 or 4 years, at least you have the knowledge of what you need to do. And then it connects too with making sure you're fiscally sound enough to be able to afford to buy a home. And of course, right now the housing market is very high, but you still can prepare with the tools that the home potential homeowner will need to have, because a lot of people have rented for so many years that if you added up the amount of money that they spent in rent, they probably would have paid for a house twice.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we talk about. There's because it's like, do you know it's cheaper for you to buy your own home than for you to continue to pay the rent, especially with inflation,
Mhm.
especially with how rental has almost doubled from just pre-COVID to now. And you built no equity in
Right.
renting. So build the equity in owning your own home.
And the tax rewards of being able to, through property appraisers, get the homestead exemption and all of the different financial considerations. Those are all things that you got to learn somewhere.
Absolutely.
So, so you do have the community center there too, and you offer other types of classes, including types of computer classes, and as you said, financial management classes. What other type of classes do you offer there?
Oh wow. Yeah, we're always having some type of class, some type of workshop. Right now we're partnered with a Mother Love, and she is facilitating computer classes, so basic computer classes, Excel, PowerPoint classes. We have another group that we're partnered with that's going to be doing grant writing workshops on campus, because that's extremely important, because sometimes certain nonprofits, not all, but a lot of the mom and pop nonprofits, they don't have the capacity or the know-how to really
Right.
write good grants. And so as a grant maker myself, by being the vice president of Impact 100, I know how important it is to be able to write grants well, because for the people that's reading them.
Mhm.
Because sometimes if you can't clearly articulate your thought, then people can misunderstand your intent, and there's a disconnect. And you definitely don't want to disconnect when you want to ask someone for money. So we thought it was important to bring those grant writing workshops, but also professional development.
Mhm.
We have on class financial literacy, credit repair, just really trying to look at a person as a whole, and find out what the gaps are and how we can help fulfill the gaps. But because of the CEO 3.0, I'm starting to plan a youth business workshop and conference. So I think that'd be good to have a youth entrepreneurship conference where they can talk to and speak to other young entrepreneurs from around the world. For one, that's going to give them encouragement. It's a way to model that, wow, if they can do it and they're making all this money, I can do it as well. Definitely expand upon a little bit more with the financial literacy, because we want to teach stocks and bonds. We're partnering with a cyber company that wants to teach people coding, and also cybersecurity, which is in demand right now.
Mhm.
And so some of the trainings that he's going to have will help you to walk into $200 an hour jobs.
Do you partner at all with IRSC on some of the classes, or do they refer people to you?
Right now we are not partnering with any River State College, but however, we have went to the small business development center that's
Mhm.
located at the college in reference to getting data for a feasibility study to see if entrepreneurship in this area of this type will even work.
Mhm.
And it will. But one of the most exciting partnerships we have is with our sister's closet.
And that's brand new, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of that too. So our sister's closet in if you know the old Means Court building, it's a lovely two-story building, and Canaria and her team have renovated downstairs. But upstairs, you have different things that are planned for upstairs. And being recently retired from working full time, along with a good friend of mine who's also recently retired, we were looking for a place to donate. And we have other friends who perhaps were working remotely now or changed their job. People of all ages who are looking to donate clothes that are career clothes. And we looked around to see what type of career closet there was in St. Lucie County, and there really isn't one. IRSC has some one that is sometimes active, sometimes not, but it's dedicated to their students. And the closest thing was in Palm Beach County, a Dress for Success program. So we approached Canaria and Jacqueline Coleman, your program manager, to talk about putting together a donation clothing boutique. And we're going to be locating that donation boutique on the second floor of the Inc. building. So we're so excited about that program. And we're already accepting clothing donations. Actually, after September 1st, both of property appraiser Michelle Franklin's office locations, one in St. Lucie West and one on Virginia Avenue in Fort Pierce, will have a donation box where you can make donations. And then the clothing is going to be given completely free to people. They'll get a certain amount of outfits when they're applying for a job. And then when they show that they've received a new job, then they'll be able to come in and get outfits. And it's kind of going to be patterned. And Canary and I had talked about this initially after what Graceway Village does for teenagers and kids, where, you know, they use vouchers and partner with other agencies that their clients are in need of services. And this is particularly for women who need career dressing. So it's not something that, you know, we're not taking t-shirts and shorts and hoodies and other things, prom dresses or evening dresses, none of that, just career clothing.
Absolutely. And I think it's such a great resource from working and having an extensive background and working with people who are disadvantaged or in poverty and poverty line. When you have rent that has doubled, car payments, you have kids, you have to buy food, and you're trying to prepare yourself. Sometimes as moms, we are the last to take care of ourselves.
That's so true. So true.
And so to have a place that, you know, they can come and have dignity, and have nice items that they can select, that they will feel good in interviewing, because one thing I know, how you feel on the outside sometimes is how people internalize it. And so if they feel good on the outside and look good on the outside, they feel more powerful in that interview.
And then when they come back with their new job, they'll be able to get more outfits and eventually get to the point where they have 5 different outfits they can mix and match. And our vision is that in our boutique, that we'll be setting up appointments for people to come, and we'll have stylists that are helping them choose the clothes. And meanwhile, you know, as I said, you know, your church or organization could do a clothing drive. Your business could be a sponsor or a donor. We're starting after September 1st. We're going to start sorting the clothing and storing the clothing. So you could come in, be a volunteer to do that. You can clean out your closet. And we already have my friend Sydney, my partner, it already has some clothing racks set up in her garage with clothing on it that will be moving over to a storage room and at the Inc. Center. And then we'll be sorting it, and then we'll be decorating this boutique on the second floor as soon as we're able to get in, which is going to be sometime in 2023. And we don't know exactly when, because you're putting together right now your plan for when that second floor will be available.
Oh, absolutely. So it's something very exciting. And looking forward to the partnership, but it's a very simple process. The first process is clean out your closet, right?
Yeah.
And then become a sponsor or donor. Definitely get your church or any organizations of influence to hold a clothing drive. And from your own family, I mean, you can have people come volunteer to help sort the clothes. So because we want to give a really nice presentation and kind of set it up like a boutique.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's going to give not only dignity to the parents, but also the kids, because I know how important it is sometimes when you have that working mother that sometimes don't have nice clothes, and how the kid internalizes. So to empower that mom is really helping to empower that daughter too, which
that is so true, because when you're picking up your kid from school and you're coming from the office or from your place of employment, whatever it is, and you're not wearing leggings and a t-shirt, your kid is really proud of, their mom that is coming, that is obviously, somebody who matters. And especially for little kids, superficial things mean a lot. And the confidence that a woman gets from knowing that she's presenting at her best on the outside will help her be great on the inside. And it'll be an opportunity to grow, like, some of the things we look at maybe doing in the future, or accessories and shoes. And right now we're concentrating on the career clothing. But, maybe we could partner with, shoe companies or department stores or other to take their excess inventory, or, maybe, what do I care if it's last season's clothing? I mean, I personally don't. But I love the idea of being able not just to clothe someone, but to outfit them. And there's a difference. There's such a difference.
It is, because sometimes you can give somebody clothes, but if they don't know how to put them together,
yes,
and then who has that experience to really have somebody outfit you? I mean, sometimes it might be the person's only experience that they have like that, but I think back when you said that, I think back when I was a teenager, and I remember I was in high school actually, and I had an older cousin that was always very well dressed, always had her earrings to match her clothes, to match her purse, to match her shoes. And I remember, being the new kid on the block at high school and going into school, and so she was just like, I remember her coming up to me, "Hey, I mean, you want to come over to my house this weekend?" I said, "Okay, no problem. Come pick me up." And she taught me the basics. She outfitted me without saying, "Hey, don't ever dress like that again in school." She didn't say that. She didn't embarrass me. Yeah, but she just really taught me, "Hey, this color matches well with this color." And I still use all those same basic principles to this day.
And, we're also going to partner with Inc. and creating, maybe a set of videos, or linking with social media influencers who post dressing tips.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because I love following them. I love, there's this one, Trending with Trina, that I always watch. I think she lives in Texas or someplace really far away, but she's always coming up with, how you do the 1/3, 2/3 rule to look better, or 2/3, 1/3 dress. You don't want to cut yourself in half. What to do with a button-up shirt when you want to tuck it in smoothly, what to do with rogue bra straps. I mean, all these little tips.
Wow, I gotta follow her.
I know, she is like incredible. I feel like she's my best friend sometimes, and that's really sad, I know. But at any rate, we look forward to moving forward with that project. Again, beginning September 1st, you'll be able to drop things off at the property appraiser's office, career clothing for women, please. And then we'll also on Wednesdays from 12 to 2 at Inc., which will be right on the tail end of your Wednesday activities there. And then the boutique should open sometime around the spring of 2023. So we're really excited about that. What are some of the other entities that you're partnering with that in the future? What are the things that you'd like to do? And it's funny because the first time that I sat down with you and Jacqueline and I brought up the idea of a career closet, a boutique type thing, Jacqueline said, that was something that was in our plan for the future.
Absolutely, because we know how important it is to look good and to show up. Because we talk a lot about showing up in certain spaces. Like, how can you show up in a space and not introvert in? And professional dress is one of the biggest ways to show up, because a woman, it's all kind of statistics around it. When a woman feels good about what she has on, she feels more powerful, more in control of her own life. And so I'm so elated that you're helping us to get there. But some of the other partnerships that we
some
have,
of your other dreams.
It's a lot. But what's good about dreams is making them come to fruition.
Yeah.
And so some of the things that we're going to be embarking on short term, Fort Pierce is actually, the city of Fort Pierce is actually hosting a minority business expo in September. And so they asked me to be one of the keynote speakers. And so I accepted that challenge. But we have a lot of property. We sit currently on 2.57 acres of land. And so one of the things that we plan on doing on some of the land that's on the south side is create villager shops. So actually, once we get done doing upstairs, we're going outside. And so the villager shop is going to have a liquidation center, it's going to have a farmer's market, and we're going to put 20 to 30 small modular spaces, like a 20-foot shipping container, retrofitted to have 3 different restaurants, and the rest is going to be retail shops, that the businesses that we're preparing now, the ones that's ready to scale into brick and mortar, they can literally scale right
next door.
And then in the corner, we're going to put an amphitheater. They have something very similar in Tampa by their port, where they have like a whole little village of shipping container shops, and then they have a lot of outside space, cool space, and it has big screen because they have a lot of concerts out there. They have games that family can play, a lot of different seating types for families, but then that food component. And so it has so much art. Art is big on what we do. We do have the interactive art gallery that's in the hallway, but to bring that art outside, to put sculptures outside, also to wrap our shipping containers in art, I think is extremely very important, to give a cool shopping outdoor experience with a courtyard, and to let it be extremely very beneficial for not only the community, but also the entrepreneurs that we are preparing. So that's a short-term goal. A longer goal would be to actually buy out and build a grocery store with affordable housing on top. But yeah, we're here to stay. We're going to be here for 30 years. So we want to make the biggest impact in our community.
Even, as we speak, those entrepreneurs that are looking for a brick and mortar location or office location, you do have some space downstairs where you have like little suite type situations where the businesses can come in and use a cubby to function.
Yes,
right?
we do have shared office space.
That was what I was looking for.
Yeah, and then upstairs as well, part of that design is actually a business incubator. And so it's not going to be open to the public. So that's why I think that's a great place for the Sisters Closet. And so it's only certain people have access up there. But we're going to build out a complete business incubator that's going to include a print shop, a maker space, a mail sorting room. We're going to put a co-sex salon up there. So it's a big vision for upstairs.
That's awesome. You must just lay awake at night thinking of new things that we can add to the mix. And
Absolutely.
and of course, just to let people know that they can get more information by going about any of the programs that Inc. is working with. And moving forward to partner with them or to sponsor with them, it's Incubate Neighborhood Center, and that's biz.org.
Correct. Yes.
And you can get information on any of the things that we were talking about, or check your social media, which is it under Incubate Neighborhood Center? Or
Ink Biz.
is
It's up.
Inc. Biz.
Yes, it's up on the Ink Biz. So we have a lot of information on Ink Biz, as well as we're always doing different types of creative events. We had a very successful Juneteenth event in which Jake was there. It
Yep.
was awesome. We had 1,000 people there as well. We had over
And you
40
had
vendors.
lots of entertainment too.
A lot, 5
Yeah.
hours of live music, and a lot of people compared the event to Jazz in the Garden. So we're getting ready to start planning for that. But also, I wear another hat. I am the vice president of the Impact 100 of St. Lucie County, and we are getting ready for our grant award celebration, which is going to be on October the 22nd at 10 a.m. It's going to be at St. Lucie Trail and Golf Club. So if you're interested in attending, please you can either Google St. Lucie County Impact 100 or visit the website of St. Lucie Martin Foundation.
Okay. And we've had the folks from Impact 100 a couple times a year. They come on to talk about when the grant application process opens. So it's always exciting to find out who the semifinalists are and who the finalists are, and then finally the winner. And it also falls in nicely with what you're doing at Inc., teaching people how to write grants, because there's definitely a talent and knowledge that comes with writing a successful grant.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we look at, where the gaps in services. So one of the biggest gaps was entrepreneurship and home ownership, but we also help people find jobs. But definitely we have a partnership with a Mother Love who focuses more on the crisis right now. Some of the services that we partner with as well is Lahi. Recently, they hosted an opportunity where they helped to pay $500 people light or utility assistance in St. Lucie County.
Wow. So a lot of great things going on, and you can check it all out through their website again, inkbiz.com, or on social media at inkbiz.org, not com. I'm sorry. Canary Gardner has been my guest today. She is the CEO of Incubate Neighborhood Center. And we've been chatting about all the different programs, and we're excited to see what happens next. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you next week with more.
Sue Ellen Sanders Show, weekends on WPSL Radio and archived on YouTube. Go to WPSLTV.com, look up the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, and find the biggest playlist of programming that we've got at WPSL.